The goal of this webinar is just to keep you moving forward so that you're learning what you really took out of the Marketing Mastery Seminar, so that you're applying that day in and day out, because that's where the real value comes. That's where you get the payoff in increased sales, productivity in your life, both personally and professionally. Also, we do these to help you avoid feeling isolated, because sometimes it's easy to get back into your offices and feel like you're the only one that's really working at building a marketing-driven real estate business. And I don't want you to feel that way. Next, the goal is to hold yourself accountable so that you're taking regular, consistent steps, and then to give you new ideas each and every month on what you can do to be moving yourself forward. I want to start with my book of the month. And this month, this is a book I've recommended a couple of years ago, and I recently reread it, and I will tell you, I think I've read it 3 times now, and every time I read it, I get great value out of it. And the book is called Switch: How to Change Things When Change is Hard. And this is a great book that will help you change your old habits that can stop you from really accomplishing your goals. And it'll give you great practical tricks on how to change behaviors, whatever they are. And I found this is a very practical book to really take control of your life in every single sense. So I highly recommend it. And remember, each month I recommend a book, and these are books that either Janet or I have read and recommend and have found extremely useful to us. And I always would love your feedback. If you read one of the books I've recommended, please send me an email. Say, hey, Greg, this is what I got out of the book. I didn't like it, whatever that is. So I know that it's making a difference for you. So today, I want to talk a little bit about how to capitalize on the incredible opportunities in the marketplace. I will tell you, the marketplace is doing very well. All the indications are that 2014 is going to be an absolutely fabulous year. If you took a look at the economic statistics, the U.S. economy grew in 2013 at right about a 2.8% clip. Now, all the predictions, all the economists are saying that for 2014, that should be up at least a full percentage point to 3.8, and a number of people have predicted 4%, even 4.2% growth. That's a huge difference. If you take a look at what a 1% growth going from 2.8 to 3.8, that's almost a 30% increase in our overall economy. That's a huge jump in productivity. So I really think that 2014 is going to be an absolutely fabulous year. But since I've been doing this now 30 years and I've seen 3 major downturns, on the upside, what I have seen always surprises me. As the marketplace starts to recover, here's what I found. The agents have been around for a while, that have gone through a downturn especially, been through maybe, a recovery, a downturn. They are sort of shell-shocked. And what I found is that they are very slow to react. And they are super cautious because they felt the pain of the last few years, and it's in the back of their mind. And so what I found is that they're slow. And what happens is that new people come into the marketplace that don't know any better. They just got into real estate. This is their first experience, and they just go for it. And they say, this is a normal marketplace. And what they do is they act much faster, make faster decisions, and they capitalize on the opportunities. And the new people are the ones that are reaping all the rewards. And I don't want those of you who have survived over the last few years to let the opportunities of the next year, the next couple of years, slip away from you. So if you take a look at the economic cycle, it's always going through this cycle of, upward growth. It goes from being above where it was or below where it was up to this point where all of a sudden the economy is growing. This is section B. At some point, it will hit a peak, and then it'll start a slide. Now, during section C, the economy is still stronger than it was. It's not going down, so it's still a good time to make money. D is always the most problematic. This is where you've got challenges. People are really struggling financially. If you take a look, though, we're at this A, and we're fairly up that curve. Now, if you take a look at classic economic theory, they always say the very best time to invest for maximum return on investment in a business is at the bottom of A. As A is going up, it's in that A cycle that you will get the highest return on investment from your marketing, your servicing systems, everything you're doing to make the next few years the most productive. Now, what they found historically is that most businesses, just because they've gone through this downturn, are very reluctant to spend in A. Now the economy gets going, gets up to full set head of speed, and it gets into B. And this is a place where we see actually most people actually spending money because they feel like, oh my goodness, the economy is doing really well. They feel confident. They're making a good amount of money. But because they waited so long, they don't get the full benefit of it. And if you invest in the last quarter of B, and historically, this is where most people are buying more investment properties, building buildings, doing things because they feel like it's rosy and they get this feeling that it's never going to change. And now all of that money ends up getting lost or dissipated because it's right before the economy turns. So I want you to know right now is the time to go play, invest, grow your business. It is truly the most intelligent time to go out there and make your business grow. So what are the things you can do to capitalize on this opportunity? Well, first of all, I want you to make sure that you look at your strategic brand advantage. Now, we talked about this at the Marketing Mastery Seminar. This is the core element that you must have clearly ready to articulate. You need to look at everything you're doing and make sure that you have a clear, focused brand message across everything you're doing. Failure to create a strategic brand message is the number one reason most agents never build a strong brand. They do well. They work incredibly hard for 20, 30 years, but they never build this brand to get this incredible easy flow of business. If you take a look at the agents like Phil Herman, Sue Adler, these types of agents, Alan Dahm, excuse me, they've worked incredibly hard to build this brand, this identity in the marketplace, that suddenly there is a perceptual value in the marketplace that allows them to get more value, get more business coming their way quickly and easily because consumers feel like, oh, I know them, I recognize them. So you want to make sure that you're building your brand. Now, a couple of books that can help you do this is one called Brand Washed. Tricks companies use to manipulate our minds and persuade us to buy. Now, it's a little bit of an interesting book in that it's written for consumers saying, gosh, you need to be aware of how consumers are doing these things. But it's a great marketing book because it shows you here's things you can do to make sure that you're getting maximum brand identity in your client's mind. The next book I highly recommend, and it's Emotional Branding. And you cannot make your marketing too emotional. Again, with our own clients, this is the number one thing we struggle with. So many agents hire us. They say, Greg, I want you to create an emotional story. Now we create an emotional story for them, and they get it and they say, oh my goodness, this is way too emotional. It's too airy-fairy. Today, I want you to know your story has got to be emotional. So take a look at your marketing and ask yourself, is it creating an emotional connection? Every ad, every flyer, your website, everything you're doing. Are you creating that emotional connection in there? This is critical to get in place for 2014. Now, to do this, start by taking a look at all your sales and marketing materials. Ask yourself, is your brand clearly communicated across everything you're doing? If I lined up all your marketing materials, every ad, every flyer, your website, your Facebook pages, everything, when I just looked at them along the table, would each piece reinforce your strategic brand message? Well, I mean, and this is critical, from your business card to every single piece of things that you're doing. You've got to make sure that you're communicating the same strategic brand advantage. The look, the feel, the message has got to be clear. So that now, just at a glance, maybe I look at your brochure, and this is Robin Milanakis' brochure, and she uses this concept of the game changer, making your dreams a reality. And now, whether I look at her house flyers, I go to her website, at a glance, I get a feeling like, oh, I recognize Robin. I know who she is. I read her Facebook posts. And this is her personal page, not a business page. But again, notice it reinforces everything else she's doing. All her marketing materials, support materials, have the same look, feel, message. Her special reports do the same thing. And I want you to realize this is so critically important. Here we look at some of her ongoing advertising. And again, the same look, the same feel, the same strategic message, even though the content is changing. Now, even her landing pages. This is a landing page she's doing, promoting an open house with some online Facebook advertising, and I think this is a great way to go. She's doing little Facebook ads on Facebook and LinkedIn, driving her local marketplace to an open house and getting them to pre-register. So one, she knows I'm going to have people at my open house, and even if they can't make it, they can register in advance. Then her follow-up materials, a simple letter. It's the same thing. It creates a great look, feel. And I want you to realize you need to make sure that all your marketing is working effectively together for you. This makes such a huge difference, so that now every note you write, everything you send, is building your identity just at a glance. Now, when you start getting your marketing in place, what you have to do is make sure that now what you're doing reinforce that brand message. If you claim that you're the friendly realtor, you've got to be friendly all the time. If you claim to be service-oriented in your marketing message, let me tell you, if you drop any one of service, it totally destroys your brand. You've got to have a marked difference. So whatever you're promoting, you've got to look and say, okay, when I meet people, am I reinforcing that? The way I answer my phone, does it reflect my strategic brand advantage? When I go on a listing presentation, when I work with a prospective buyer, does it reinforce how my operations work, my marketing message? See, so many agents forget this. They promote one thing, but then they show up and they don't reinforce that, don't think about it. But think about it, when you go to Tiffany's, what do they reinforce? That they're the best of the best. There's a unique experience from the very way the store is structured, designed, the way they talk to you, the way they interact with you. Contrast that with Walmart. You know that Walmart is cheap. It's economical. And what do they have throughout the store over and over again? They were telling you, gosh, here's a rollback price. It reinforces what their brand message is in the store. It's crowded. They're jamming a lot of things in. And I want you to realize that all of those things are done on purpose to reinforce, here's what our brand message is. As an agent, you need to make sure you're doing these basic, fundamental things day in and day out. So that now, here's my message. And now what I'm doing is backing that up consistently with my actions, with everything I do. That's how true brand identity takes root and grows. Next, I want you to focus your efforts towards building market share right now. Now is the best time to invest in growing in your business. If there's any time to pull out all the stops, say, gosh, I need to go and get some money, borrow some money, do whatever I need to do, Now is the time, because market share is what you want to be focused on. Not just what your business is, but you need to do some research and say, okay, in my farm area, how much market share do I have? Of all the listings, what percentage of sales do I have? Now, in your area, you really want to focus on getting a larger percentage of market share. And here's why. As the marketplace starts to grow, as the economy expands, small increases in market share today will turn into huge profits in a couple of years. And remember, this is so important. If you take a look at a market pie chart, as the market grows, the agents with the largest market share grow the fastest. Take a look at this section in yellow here. You'll notice that, let's say, that's 46 houses. It actually is representing 46% of the total marketplace. But now, if we look at it as 46 houses, and we say, okay, it's going to expand, and the marketplace grows, now suddenly, if you increase the percentage of business equally across all of them, that grew to 91 transactions. Notice that it grew bigger just because the pie is growing. A rising tide lifts all boats. The bigger the boat, the more work is done by the tide. And this is a very important marketing concept. If you have a bigger market share and now the marketplace expands, your market share will automatically expand with that. If you just stay focused on what I call doing the numbers to reach my specifically year goal, not thinking about market share, if your market share isn't expanded, you may here achieve your goals, but your ongoing long-term brand is not going to work nearly as hard for you and won't mean as much to you in the future. So what you want to do is make sure that you expand the number and size of your marketing activities. Ask yourself, are my clients seeing me everywhere? Now, at the Marketing Mastery Seminar, we talked about how in your farm area, you need to have 3 to 5 exposures per month, every single month. And now you want to say, am I getting enough out there? Ask yourself, how many people are getting exposed to my strategic brand message consistently month in and month out? You want to have enough to accomplish your goals. Now remember, there's not a magic number. So many agents say, well, Greg, what is the magic number? And I see a question that popped up, and it says, what does SBA stand for? And what that stands for is your strategic brand advantage. What is the core marketing message that you're communicating month in and month out? And it's tied to who you are as a person, your marketplace, your style, and it's critically important to do that. Now you need to make sure that you're communicating that message 3 to 5 times a month, month in, month out. Ask yourself how many people are getting exposed to your marketing message, and ask yourself, do the numbers support your goals? People always say, well, Greg, what is that magic number? How many should I have in my farm? Well, there's no magic number. What you have to think about is, what are your goals? Let's say you want to have a goal of doing 25 transactions. Well, if you look at the turnover rate in your area, you can figure out, gosh, here's the size of farm that I need to have. Remember, you need to have twice as much turnover in an area as your goals. If, on the other hand, you want to do 50 transactions, you're going to need a bigger farm area. If you want to do 100 transactions, so it depends upon how many transactions you want to do. So many people say, well, Grace, I want to do more transactions this year. I'm not going to increase the size of my farm. Well, you really need to focus either on building market share. And remember that in your farm area, ideally, you should be between 40 and 50% market share. Getting beyond 50%, I found the return on investment goes down dramatically. So you want to look at it. And as you start getting over 40% market share, you're probably going to find that you'll get better return by expanding the size of your farm. And remember that a farm today is not just a geographic area. I hope I made this clear at the seminar. It can be a group of people. It can be doctors. It can be lawyers. It can be a lifestyle. But it's still a farm. It's a group of people that you want to communicate with to get your marketing message in and month out consistently over time. Now, make sure that you have a big enough farm to achieve the goals you've set for yourself. And then now is the time to increase, especially your online ads. I think right now, over the next couple of years, online advertising and YouTube marketing are going to be absolutely the best opportunities for agents. So you want to really take a look and say how to get onto your online advertising. We went through this at the seminar. If you've forgotten that, you might sign up for one of my online advertising webinars because this is so critical. Now, remember, the key is to target a specific group of people and create a landing page that helps you convert the clicks into real transactions. And this is really going to be the big opportunity in the year ahead. So Phil Herman does this so well. Now, he's built an image for a long time, a brand, but now we see his ongoing ads, and he's targeting the people in his farm area consistently, effectively. We see these types of advertisings doing very well. Christine Crockett advertises one of her special reports from the seminar. Again, this is so easy to target people very effectively. What's the buzz about B. Powell? Get people to get a copy of your personal brochure. You can also target sellers this way. We talked about this at the seminar, and it's so valuable. And I want you to realize that this is critical to really understand how to maximize your productivity. And I see a question that just came in. It says, can you give an example of what you mean when you say you need 2 times the turnover of your goals? So what I mean by that, and again, if you go back to your notes from the seminar, we talked about this. If you take a look at an area, you pick a geographic farm, a lifestyle group, what you need to do is go to the MLS and find out how many homes in that area are selling. Now, let's say you pick the medical profession and you can't put it together, based on the MLS. Then what you have to do is just use the national turnover rates. So in 2013, the turnover rate in the United States was 4.8%. So just use an average and then just say, do I need to make any adjustments for that? In my estimation, do doctors, the people I'm targeting, turn over a little bit above or a little bit below the rate? I have found that the older the marketplace, the more turnover rates gets depressed. The more affluent, turnover rates go up just slightly. So you may want to adjust it, but it's going to be like 2%, 0.2%, or one way or the other. So now you say, I've got 1,000 people in my farm. I've got a 4.8% turnover rate. That means there's 48 homes in that area that are going to sell each year. Now, for me to achieve my goal of 50% market share, that means that probably the maximum productivity I'm going to get is 24 transactions out of that group. So you can figure that for every 1,000 people in your farm, going on a national average, you should say, gosh, I'm going to get probably the maximum I'm going to get is 20 to 24 transactions out of that. And if you calculate the number of the size of your farm based on those numbers, based on your research, you'll get a much better result. All right. So now I really want to think about online advertising because it's so economical because you can target your specific marketplaces. Now, this is one of the ads that Christine Crockett uses to target a seller so that the seller sees their ad every time they go to Facebook. And now you click on it and you watch Christine's YouTube video promoting this particular property. This is a great reinforcement of everything else you're doing. So I want you to look at the opportunity in online advertising because I really believe that this is so powerful. You can target people, offer the special reports, and remember, you can get great value here. Notice here, Priscilla had 78,000 exposures. Now, she's targeting a specific group of people of 8,600 users. So those 8,600 people saw her ad on average 14.8 times. To me, this is why online advertising is so incredibly effective. Now, of those 8,600 people, she got 183 of them to click on one of her links. And now, she's offering one of the special reports. And she has a great landing page here. She's actually got a little YouTube video that promotes it and then offers one of her landing pages. The key to online advertising is creating very effective online landing pages to drive people. Make sure that you have a landing page for each ad. This maximizes your productivity out of your advertising budget. And I think this is going to be where you get huge opportunities. Also, if you do YouTube videos, what you're going to do now is promote those YouTube videos in online advertising. Notice Marguerite Gager put together this little video about downtown Tacoma, the lifestyle. Not a direct response type, just more of a interesting human interest type. And she was able to get 2,000 people to actually see the ad, 194 people to watch the video, and only cost her $10.48. These types of strategically placed ads targeting your marketplace is where there's going to be so much opportunity in 2014. Let me tell you, this is where you've got to take advantage of it. Make sure you're spending money intelligently to do this. I know some people get frustrated because they say, well, Greg, I don't quite understand all the ins and outs. Do whatever it takes. Make sure you do what is necessary to thrive and take advantage of the opportunities. This is where the top producing agents are going to make the biggest mark in the year ahead. Then, as your marketing is starting to kick in, I want you to work on your service systems so that you're ready for growth. What you've got to ask yourself is this: could your systems handle it if you double the number of transactions you did each month? Would you still have a life? And would your customer service still be very strong? This is critical. Unfortunately, most agents wait until their servicing systems are faltering them to work on their servicing systems. As you start working on your marketing, start putting your servicing systems right into place. This makes such an important difference. So what kind of service systems do you want to work on? Well, your basic service to your buyers and sellers, your computer systems, your marketing plan, your systems for making sure you have time off, enjoying your life. Also, you need to make sure you have a system in place for wealth building. As the marketplace goes up, you start increasing your income. I don't want you to increase your lifestyle until you're financially secure. Unfortunately, most people call themselves long-term financial security by not understanding that you really have to monitor how you're saving and investing your money. Now, start by going through your notes from the Marketing Mastery event and go through the system for creating raving fans. Let me tell you, that will make such a huge difference if you get that in place. The first thing to start is to look at, what do I need to do as far as people? What are the people I need to have in place for each particular role? What assistants? What do I need to do? What do I need to delegate? How do I buy some time? Do I need to hire an errand runner for a minimum wage just to buy some extra time to manage my life? This makes such a huge difference. Remember that you are the president of your own business, and you've got to make sure that you are filling it in. Now, I know at the start, you're doing everything, but what you want to do is make sure that you can now say, who can I turn these things over to? And now, how can I get the right support in place to really make a difference going forward? Use the listing follow-up system. Print out the form on the download site. And if you haven't done this, follow it. The agents that I get to use this form say, Greg, it makes such a huge difference in how my business operates. Now, if you want to do it from the computer, remember that it is computerized in exact contact. And print out the form or sign up for Exact Contact. And I will tell you, you've got to have a computer system that will support your business so you can grow effectively. The listing service program tells you what to do each week, gives you the letter to send out to your clients, that creates and reinforces your message, that you're demonstrating that you're truly earning every dollar of your commission. This dramatically increases your referrals, helps people really lock into your brand identity. And if you follow this form, remember that everything you need to do is in the form, so when you go home at night, you don't have to remember anything. This makes such a huge difference. You can actually enjoy your life and live it stress-free. When you drive home at night, you are totally free of everything in your mind because you know you can walk in, pick it up. An assistant now becomes much more productive because an assistant can pick up the form and it tells them what to do. This is one of the best training tools for assistants. Make sure that they understand this and utilize it. Then consider getting Exact Contact. The reason I recommend Exact Contact is that I have really found they are by far the most efficient contact management system for real estate agents. They are very similar to Top Producer, only they cost a little bit less. And remember that you can get a free 60-day free trial just for coming to one of our seminars. You sign up for that at exactcontact.com. Make sure you go to the /HH version. They do have a 30-day free trial for anybody if you go to just exactcontact.com. If you go to the HH version, all of the Hobbs letters, the listing service plan, everything is already in there, and all you have to do is assign a client and execute it. Next, what I want you to do is lay out your marketing game plan for 2014. If you haven't done this already, pull up an Excel spreadsheet or go to the download site and download one of the blank worksheets that we've given you, one of the blank game plan worksheets, and fill this out. And what you're going to do is you're going to put all the activities that you're doing. Every ad, every flyer, every piece of direct mail, every post that you want to make, you say, okay, here are the things I need to do for the next year. And now, when do I want them? I want them the second week of January, February. Now lay out the entire year so that now you look at it. And now what you can do and say, okay, in this month, look at, I've got 3 exposures. Here I've got 4. And you can moderate the entire year so that it makes sense from both a financial and a marketing perspective. Now, it's so much easier to execute this. You don't have to wake up and say, gosh, I wonder what I should do today. You look at your game plan and say, oh, here's the things I need to do this month, this week. And now this will make a huge difference for you. The agents that take the time to lay out a game plan and then execute from the game plan, it makes such a huge difference in their productivity because they're maximizing the value of what they're doing. Now, in your game plan, lay out all your time off for the year ahead as well. Now, I really believe that every October, November, you need to sit down with your significant others and say, let's plan the long weekends for the year ahead. Let's plan our vacation times. Let's plan birthdays, anniversaries, those important times. This is mastering the art of lifestyle. This is one of the things that I am so thankful to Jim Rohn for. Because he said, Greg, learning how to earn is one thing. Learning how to live is a different thing. And you've got to learn how to live, master the art of lifestyle. And he says, if you want to have an extraordinary life, it doesn't happen by accident. See, an anniversary doesn't come together by accident. You don't just, happen to show up and have an incredible birthday party for somebody, an anniversary party. I loved what Peggy Lucas did for Dave. He had his 50th birthday late last year, and months in advance, she contacted us and said, hey, can you create a little video for Dave's birthday party? And she went through incredibly a variety of things and put together an absolutely incredible event. She put the time, the effort in to make it an extraordinary event. And now if you talk to Dave, his gratitude, the memory of that event will be there forever. See, that doesn't happen if you think about it a week before and say, gosh, I should really do something special. It's already too late. You waited a week before? I'm amazed at how many people say, oh my goodness, it's my spouse's birthday. You know, I should get something on my way home from work today. It's like, are you nuts? See, you can't create something that's extraordinary. Life is woven. An event, a birthday party, an anniversary, it's a woven event. You've got to think about it. What do you want to accomplish? What's the end result? What's the feeling you want the person to have? What's the experience you want them to have? And this is mastering the art of lifestyle, and that's why you're doing this. This is why you're working hard in real estate. Don't let real estate become your life. Make sure that you are doing the things necessary to make a huge difference. This will make such a huge impact on the quality of your life, how your significant others relate to you. Then, build your wealth plan. Now, I will tell you, this can make such a huge difference. I highly recommend you live the 70-10-10 way. Jim sold me on this, and I will tell you, it will change everything in your life. What you've got to learn how to do is whatever your income you're making. He says it doesn't matter. He says wealth is not an amount, it's a plan. And I have seen this. I have seen people that have never been what I call huge, massive producers. They've been good, solid producers. Most probably making, $50,000, $60,000 a year consistently over 20 years, 30 years. And what they've done is they've grown their wealth base so that now when they walk away from real estate, they maintain their lifestyle, their income. Now, the way to do that is to learn to live on 70% of your income. Now, I'm going to talk about this, and this is after taxes. Make sure that you are a happy taxpayer. Give the government whatever they want, and do whatever you can to minimize it, but it's taxes. We all have to pay them. Don't complain about them. Don't gripe about them. Just go out there and say, this is the reality. What you want to do is say, I'm going to live on 70% of what's left. Cover all my expenses. Now, sometimes people say, well, gosh, I'd have to cut back. Well, then cut back. If you need to get a cheaper car, move to a cheaper house, you need to do whatever you can to say, gosh, I am going to live on 70% of my income. Now, I'm going to take 10% each and every month, and that's going to go into what I call my emergency fund for all those little things that come up unexpectedly. Tires and car expenditures and kids' things that show up that you weren't quite prepared for. Then you're going to take 10% and you're going to save that for investment. This is what you're going to call your capital account. Now, your capital account is your long-term wealth. And what I want you to know is that it's not ever to be used for emergencies. This is sacrosanct. You've got to say, I'm going to take 10% every single month. I'm going to put it in. Now, when you're starting out, it may be small, but now here's where you get into the biggest challenge. 10 years into it, you made some investments, you bought a house, and there's a tendency to say, oh my goodness, let me sell this investment and I'm going to take part of that money and play here. No. That's sacrificing your long-term retirement. I guarantee you, if you stay focused on it, you'll make such a huge difference. Now, in the 70% you're living on, you're going to plan, you're going to budget in vacations, time off, all those things right into that 70%. But the 10% for investment, you never get to say, gosh, I'm going to take a little bit of it out. That is something that you're going to save, and it's only going to get cashed out at that point where you stop working and you say, I'm going to turn this into my ongoing cash flow for the rest of my life. The final 10% is for charity. And I really believe that you've got to give 10% away every single month. Now, it's easy when you're starting out. You're making a couple $1,000s, giving a couple $100 to your church, the United Way, a local family. Help somebody out seems to be fairly easy. And the reason you have to start this early is I have found that the more you make, the harder it is to give. See, I found giving away $100 out of 1,000 doesn't seem that bad. But giving 100,000 out of 1,000,000 takes a little bit more discipline. And so what I want you to do is say, I'm going to get in the habit of this early and get joy out of it. Go and actually give the money to places that you can see that it's making a difference. This makes such a huge difference. And I want you to do something that will make a huge difference for your family as well. Teach your kids to live the 70-10-10-10 way. And you got to start early. I mean, this makes such a huge difference. Give them some books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon. And now, when you give them their allowance, say, here's $5. What you have to do is you get to spend 70% of it any way you want. 10% goes here, 10% goes here, 10% goes here. And then help them do it. Take them and say, out of your $5, 50% is going to the church collection. It's going to a needy kid. Help them do it. Get them actively involved. Now, what I found is that we wait too long to teach this to our kids. See, we say, well, gosh, they're only 5. They only have $10. Yes, I understand they're only 5 and it's only $10. But if you let them spend the entire $10, here's my question. When do you want that to change? Do you want that to change when they're 12? See, and do you think it's easier to get them to live that way at 5 or 12? Or 20? Or 25 or 30? And what I found is the best time is 5. As they're getting money, they can start understanding it. And now they grow up that way throughout high school. Yeah, they may blow it a little bit, but that's going to be their mindset. And it will make such a huge difference. I will tell you, if you do that alone for both your kids and yourself, it will change everything, and you can capitalize on the next couple of years in a huge way. So I want you to go back, and basically today has been a review of the basics of the things that you've got to be focused on to capitalize on the opportunities going forward. What I want to do is open it up to questions and comments about anything we've talked about here today. So if you have a question, a comment, please type those into the box. Then make sure you register next month for HH calls. Also, I appreciate any feedback each and every month. If you send me your feedback at greg.herder@hobbsherder.com or post it on my Facebook page, I would greatly appreciate that. And so let's open it up to questions if there are any. First of all, did this make sense to you? And I always struggle when I'm doing a webinar because I don't get sort of instant feedback, yes, no. But go ahead and type those things in. And I would greatly appreciate those. All right, Zita. And I'm going to try and show my webcam again, if I can get the... all right, it looks like it's showing here. So questions. Please feel free to type those in. Where can we download the game plan worksheet? So if you go to the hobbsherder.com/exclusive site that we gave you at the seminar, and I believe it's /exclusive 2013, depending upon when you went to the seminar. We gave you a password at the seminar. You'll find that those are downloadable there. Send me an email if you have any problem finding that, and I'll send you the link. All right. Any other comments? First of all, did this make sense to you? Was this helpful? Was this useful? What are you planning on doing with it? So somebody says, Clarity, if I have 1,000 people in my farm and there was 24 sales last year, the turnover rate would be 2.4%. That's true. But if you have 1,000 people in your farm and the turnover rate was 4.8%, which is the national average, there would be 48 sales. When you're calculating your goals, what you have to do is say, I'm never going to get above 50% market share. That happens very rarely. So when you're calculating what your objective is, say, I'm going to calculate that I'm going to get between 40 and 50% market share if I do my marketing correctly. That means I'm going to get 20 to 24 transactions per 1,000 people. That's based on a 4.8% turnover rate. So that's how we're calculating those numbers, because we've demonstrated that you need to have twice as much turnover as your goals to set a realistic farm guide. Hopefully that clarified that. And Terry, thank you for the comment. I greatly appreciate it. All right, Vicki, thank you. The next question is, my biggest challenge is getting the whole marketing system moving and organized. Do I have to hire a part-time person? And the answer is, most people don't when they're starting out. What you have to do is say, what's the first thing in my system I need to put in place? And what I want you to do is make a list of, here are my biggest 5, 10 priorities. Try and rank them in order and say, what I'm going to do is I'm going to work for the next month on getting the first thing in place, whatever that is, whether it's my strategic brand advantage, whether it's putting in my database into my contact management system, whether it's working on your brochure, whatever it is that you think, here's the first thing I need to do to start getting in place. Work on that for 30 days. And what I found is if you just focus on that one thing, you'll get it done. Where people get into trouble is they're working on 8 different things a little bit each month. And now none of them ever get done. So pick the number one priority and work on that until it's done, and make sure you spend a little time every day working on it. That will make such a huge difference for you. All right, Don, hopefully that was helpful. And thank you, Tanya. Make sure you're just taking steps forward each and every day, and that will make a huge difference for you. If a question comes to you at any point, over the next week, months, drop me an email. We are here to help you keep moving forward and make sure that you are making progress each and every month. I look forward to talking to you next month or seeing you at a seminar soon, and make sure that you make every day count. This is your life. Make sure that you live it in an extraordinary way. Thank you, and God bless.